course, Bob Iger did come back. Chapek is out. Iger is back. Some people who normally have common sense actually thinks this is a good thing. They actually think that, Chapek is gone. The wokeness is gone. Iger is going to come in and clean things up. And I'm just like, you freaking idiots. You freaking idiots. What is wrong with you? No. Iger is the one that created this mess in the first place. Chapek came in, was trying to clean it up. Of course, the rot inside of Disney is so bad that he had resistance to everything he was trying to do the entire time, all along the way. And eventually, the wokies inside of the company, the cult inside of the company, were able to kick him out and bring Iger back. But Iger is the one that created this mess in the first place. The mess that Chapek was trying to clean up was created by Iger. So this idea that Iger is going to come in and clean things up is freaking stupid. That's dumb. He's the wokest of the woke, okay? He's just not going to do it. He's not going to be the savior that some people seem to think he will be. Like, no, dude. So, we jump onto this story now after Iger has taken over, and apparently there is like a ton of rumors going around that Apple is going to buy Disney, that Iger is getting ready to sell off Disney to Apple. And I'm going to dispel these rumors, and I'm going to explain to you very clearly why that is not the case. Red Bandit says, sorry I'm late. I was watching Wednesday on Netflix. Hey, no problem, Red Bandit. I wasn't sure if I'd get anybody in here, to be honest with you, because, it's Thanksgiving. I'm halfway here myself because the turkey is really, doing its thing. But, whatever. We're here. We're chatting. We're talking. Apple, this whole rumor about Apple buying Disney, and that, Iger's come back in order to prepare the company to be sold off, and that he's the deal maker, and the media is praising him and everything. They're saying, this is going to be huge and stuff. Guys, we've been down this road before. All right. I remember like 2 or 3 years ago, there was talk about Apple buying Disney. Now, let's get something clear here, okay? Yes. Could Apple buy Disney? Yes, they could, all right? Apple is worth more than Disney. Apple has enough cash on hand where they could buy Disney. Now, that being said, they probably wouldn't use their cash, their stock of... Wow, okay. They probably wouldn't use their reserved cash in order to buy Disney, all of it, to buy Disney. They probably wouldn't do that. It would probably be a combination of stocks and, other financial resources that they have outside of their cash, their cash backlog, whatever you want to call it, their reserve. It would be a combination of things, very similar to what Disney did when they bought Fox, okay? So yes, could Apple buy Disney? Absolutely, Apple could buy Disney. Apple is just rolling in the money, okay? So this is not a question of if, it's not a question of can Apple buy Disney. Yeah, Apple can buy Disney, but will they buy Disney? No. And again, this rumor has popped up before. There has been rumors for quite some time that, Apple's going to buy Disney. And these rumors of Apple buying Disney pop up every so often, like every 2 years or so. There's nothing to it. There's not been anything to it before. There's nothing to it now. And now, at one point, this could have happened, legitimately could have happened. That was back when Steve Jobs was running the company. And I think it was Bob Iger himself. Like, this was years and years and years ago. I want to say it was like sometime in the period of 2000. I forget exactly when it was, but it's been a while. It was back when Steve Jobs was alive and Steve Jobs was running the company, which, by the way, rest in peace, Steve Jobs. One of the greats, definitely one of the greats. Back then, Iger and Steve Jobs, had a very close relationship. They were very good friends. And Iger even said, if Jobs was still in control of Apple, that there would have been a merger between Disney and Apple if Steve Jobs was still running the show. Obviously, he's not. So I don't think that this merger is going to ever happen. Well, you can never say never. I am 98% sure that this merger is not going to happen. Do I think Apple would love to get a hold of Disney's IPs? Oh, hell yes. Of course they would. I mean, come on. Disney has Star Wars. Disney has Marvel. And that's not even counting all the other stuff that Disney has, like Aliens, for example. Of course, Indiana Jones. Of course, all their original Disney IPs, Pixar. Yes, Apple would love to get a hold of some of that stuff. Of course they would. But you have to remember, buying Disney is not just buying a media company. It's not just buying a film company. Disney is a bigger entity than just movies and films and TV shows. They sell merchandise. They have theme parks all over the world. They have freaking cruise ships. I mean, there's so much that Disney is involved in outside of the movies. And you could even make the argument that Disney's greatest profit doesn't even come from the movies. It comes from the merchandise and it comes from the theme parks. So the question you have to ask is not that could Apple buy Disney? Yeah, they could. But would they want to? And I don't think they would. I think they would love to have some of the IPs, but I don't think Apple wants to run a theme park. I don't think Apple wants to run cruise ships. That's just not in their wheelhouse. That's just not their thing. I think it would be an absolute logistical nightmare for Apple to run all that stuff. Disney has been doing, regardless of how much Disney has fallen in the last decade or so, how bad Disney has gotten, you can't deny Disney has had decades of experience with theme parks, with cruise ships, with merchandise, all this other stuff outside of movies, outside of streaming. So this whole idea that, Apple's going to come in and they're going to take over and they're going to be able to run all this stuff and, it's going to just run like a well-oiled machine. It's naive. I mean, it really is. If Disney was just a media company, if all Disney did was make shows and make movies and that was it, then yeah, I think that this would be a lot more likely. Because it's just about acquiring the IPs and, Apple's already got their own streaming service. So it's more of an expansion if that was the case. But again, Disney is not just a media company. Disney is not just a film company. They're so much bigger than that. And to try and take over everything that Disney is involved in, it would be an absolute logistical nightmare. And for that reason, I don't think this is happening. I think this is just another rumor, just another crazy, typical, almost scheduled at this point, rumor of Apple buying Disney. Again, this is not the first time this rumor has come up. And it makes a lot of sense that, the rumor mill would spit this out again the same week that Iger takes the company back over. It makes a lot of sense. I can see why this is going through the rumor mill. I can see why this popped up again, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Of course, never say never, but I'm telling you right now, 98% chance this is not happening. And I think the people that are saying it's going to happen, they don't understand how much of a logistical nightmare this would be. And I don't think they're taking into consideration just how many things Disney has its hands in. I think they're just looking, I think all they're looking at is, oh, Apple's going to get Star Wars and Marvel. Cool. Yay. That could be great. Blah, 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 blah. That's exciting. And they're not taking into consideration everything else because, a lot of these people that are, really pushing this idea, they probably don't visit the theme parks. They probably don't go on the cruise. They don't think about all the other stuff Disney is involved in. They just think about the movies. They just think about the streaming service, and that's to them that's all Disney is, but that's not all that Disney is. Disney is so much bigger. So you really would have to ask, okay, would Apple want to get involved in the theme park business? I don't think they would. There's nothing in Apple that suggests they would want to. There's been no hints from Apple that they're interested in that at all. Would Apple want to run a cruise line? Can you imagine? Come on. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. What I think is more likely, what I think you could see, and I think let me be clear. I don't think this is going to happen either. Because I think you would have to get these IPs that I'm about to mention. I think you'd have to pry them from Disney's cold, dead hands. But one scenario that I have seen popping up that I could see more likely being a possible scenario is that Apple could buy certain IPs from Disney. So, let's say that Disney looks at Star Wars and they say, all right, you know what? We've run this franchise into the ground. We really can't recover here. People aren't interested. People don't trust us with Star Wars anymore. Maybe we should just cut our losses. And Disney says, okay, you know what? Hey, Apple, would you like to buy the rights to Star Wars? That is much more likely. Now, I don't think it's extremely likely, but it's way more likely than Apple buying the entirety of Disney. The idea that Disney could sell off certain IPs and try and recover some money from that is much more likely than Disney selling its entire company. And honestly, I wouldn't be against that because I think Disney needs to get back to the basics. I think Disney needs to get back to its roots. It needs to focus on animation. It needs to focus on what it's good at, which is being a traditional family value company. I think it has overextended itself. It's like the Roman Empire. It's gotten so big and it's extended so far that it's become really difficult to manage all this stuff. And it's led to a lot of problems. You really have to start asking yourself, when it comes, obviously Marvel, I would say, is still profitable at this point. Just because of the legacy of the Infinity Saga. But when you look at Star Wars, you really have to ask yourself, are they making money off of Star Wars? I'm not going to say that they've lost money from the Star Wars deal or the Lucasfilm deal in general. I'm not going to say that. But when you look at how poorly received Episode 8 was, Episode 9 was, and you look at how much backlash has been against Disney and Star Wars for years and years and years, you have to start asking, are they making money from this? Are people tuning in? Are people watching? I think people have just become apathetic to Star Wars at this point. And the thing is, like, when I'm in Walmart, something I like to do is I go to the toys section. Not to buy anything, really. Although if I see some kind of anime figure that I like, I'll be like, you know what? Okay, what's $10? But, I was in Walmart recently, and I do this most of the time I go into Walmart, unless I'm in a hurry. I'll go to the toy section, again, not to buy anything, but just to see how well certain things are selling. Just to see if things are going off the shelf. And I'm not seeing that with Star Wars. A lot of the Star Wars toys that are in Walmart have been in there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And people are just not buying it. They're just not buying it. And again, like I've actually done this. Like, it's not just my local Walmart. I've got 2 local Walmarts that I go to consistently. All right. But there's other Walmarts in the surrounding area that I will, if I have to travel further away from home for whatever reason, sometimes I'll go into the Walmarts just to check out the toy section to see how things are selling. It's the same case at every single one. People are just not buying this stuff. I honestly believe people are apathetic to it at this point. So is the brand dead? Maybe. it's on life support for damn sure. And you have to wonder, how much further are we away from the MCU ending up in the same situation? Because things aren't pretty over there at Marvel. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So Disney, I think, could actually look at some of this stuff and say, you know what, maybe we should sell it off. Cut our losses instead of trying to get people back, instead of trying to earn people's trust, instead of trying to rebuild that relationship with the fans of this franchise. They obviously hate us. Duh. They obviously don't like where we've taken these franchises. Maybe it's time to just cut our losses. So things like Marvel, things like Star Wars being sold off, I could see it happening. But again, I'll say it once again. Do I think it's likely to happen? No. But it's more likely than Disney selling the entirety of their company to Apple. That is not going to happen. 98% chance that's not going to happen. So again, the Apple will buy Disney rumors, toss them aside. All right. I have a better chance of a Pegasus unicorn marching into my house right now and violating me with its horn. I have more of a chance of that happening than Disney selling the entirety of its company to Apple. I'm just saying. All right. That being said, let's move on to the next story.